I put together a video called What is the number one thing AQ3D needs? Now this was from 7 days ago and it's gotten 133 comments, which means very obviously you guys had things you wanted in the game. My original idea was that I was going to categorize all of the comments, but that would take a lot of time. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to be reading through some of the comments and highlighting some of the things that players are saying they need in AQ3D. Completed story, Vayne final fight, level 100 in a whole new area, Ultra Dragon Guardian, that's a really cool idea to have a new type of Dragon Guardian. Also, having more levels, definitely, I know a lot of people want to have that, and I've seen multiple people in the past talk about having some kind of closure with Vayne's thing. Now, completing the story, the current story of the game, seems very unlikely since the Mossmere thing is kicking off a whole new one, but I do agree I would like to see some kind of conclusion with the existing story. New sagas, new level cap with new equipments, balanced grind based on the item you want to get, easier or harder if the item's statistically stronger or pleasing, new PvP modes, not just domination and siege repeatedly infinitely, and new rewards in the shop, buff the gold grind to make it more fluid, add a trading system to let players interact with each other. Main story progression, more classes and variants, and more elemental orb guardian towers. Interesting. A world chat that spans all servers would be so awesome, so you could literally call on warriors from all across the game, and that actually has been mentioned in the past, having a global chat thing, which I think would be really cool. I think this falls under loadouts, but the ability to save outfits, and yes, this is exactly what I had mentioned in my video. One of the things I would love to see in AQ3D is being able to save your outfits. We need more coders and less intro revamps. Okay, I agree with that. Finish the first story, then more classes. Oh, and a way to get items from quests you have already done, as there is way too many items I've accidentally thrown away, not knowing I could never get them back again. I've done the same thing in the past as well. I want them to add stuff and update it as much as they do AQ World. I don't think that will ever happen, but the ability to custom sort pets in inventory, and yes, I've also seen this, being able to custom sort your inventory in general would be really great. And here's another person who agrees. Number one, inventory revamp, which I would say yes, definitely. I won't say how, but I think we agree the inventory system needs work. It does. The story progression, let's get them runes. A lot of people really want that story progression. I would like a max level spellforged piece of gear for every equipment slot. Nulgath birthday collection, really? Much like you, Goldraven, there's two things I want in AQ3D. You mentioned in the video, the other is the dedicated cosmetics inventory where all cosmetics can sit, and the ability to convert lower level armors and weapons to cosmetics, and most of all, a better crafting system. I think a bulk of players would agree when farming for, say, the Shadow Reaper of Doom, it'd be better if we could craft on the fly for the upgrades instead of talking to NPCs. That would be a cool idea. More new story missions and quests, due to the fact that PvP activity still needs to be improved, but no one has made this improvement. The ability to fish, cut down trees, and dig ore in the game locations as well as in home locations. Whoa, that'd be cool. For years, I've been asking for this, want a bank tidying button, like you click it and it puts all your stacks together in the same bag. Oh, that would be so cool. I would love if once you buy a bank pet, let's say Zorbak, not the bird guy, I would love if we could then take the bank function and move it to a pet to pet. Oh, having it on different pets, that'd be an interesting idea. Have all the dungeons have an unscaling option. I've mentioned this multiple times in past videos as well. Having all dungeons need to have an unscalable option so that the average non-tryhard player can kill hard bosses solo. I agree, because otherwise you can't complete certain parts of the game. I would love to see all the maps connected so one could simply explore it like a real open world. That'd be nice, but like, I don't know, that'd be difficult. Needs car options in the barbershop, level 50 stat items, and more houses. More cutscenes and story. There's another one with story. The ability to replay old quests like the Dragon Slayer one and any others, to be honest. If I remember correctly, in World, you can replay any quests. You can play almost any quest, but the story quests you can only do once. Quests for free DCs. A class that allows your pet to fight. That would be awesome, which you could level up your pet and equip them with potions. It would be helpful for solo players. I agree. A trading system. That would be pretty nice. Introduce clothing colors. I really don't see color custom coming to that extent, but who knows. Fishing. I got hundreds of fish sitting in my bank. What am I supposed to do with them? They need to be useful. That would be nice. A global chat. And yes, that is definitely. Jobs in the game. Increase a bank slot from 40 items, and I also agree. I mean, honestly, I feel the storage should be free anyways, just so players actually can collect more stuff. When bringing back seasonal stuff, add in new ones, new content, new devs. I just thought of the fact that that one can get lost easily in the game. We need a mini-map section. I've seen people mention that in the past as well, but I don't really see that happening. They can bring some bots to play with solo players in dungeons. Most of the time, solo players struggle to find parties in a dungeon, and I agree, especially when you're farming for things like statues. There are a couple older dungeons that do have NPCs in there that fight with you, but I mean, that's very few and far between. Meaningful grinds would be my top. Current ones just feel bad. Like they don't respect our time, and I agree with that. Game is also so menu heavy and gets way too confusing, especially for new players. Nalgath was fun, but dear God, with all those pets and locations and vendors, you could easily get lost and miss things, and that is true. The way that it was designed was based on the original AQ world, which is how it was done, but it doesn't really work that well in, the 2020s. Battle concert was always fun to have. I miss it, and I agree. And there will be another battle concert coming. More classes and more class balance changes, and but I feel that I can wait until we have an actual new saga and substantial endgame content, as that is way more important. I do agree, though, that the game really needs a loadout system. I agree. The inventory is kind of a nightmare to deal with. I agree. I'd love to be able to easily swap cosmetic sets when I change classes. We are overdue for a new main story. The Nalgath saga ended a few years ago, and we've got nothing new so far. Well, I mean, technically we did get Mossmere. A complete overhaul of the navigation arrow and some kind of mini-map would be nice. And this is the second person who mentions a mini-map, especially if they're going to be making more big-scaled maps in the future, like similar to Wastelands. No, they won't, because Wastelands is not a good map, and I'm hoping there won't be giant maps like that in the future, because those just don't work well in AQ3D. For me, is better inventory and bank management. Yes, that'd be great. And being able to delete every single item, even tokens. Ooh, that would also be nice. But overall, the game is great, and I think you really can find stuff to do and farm if you really want to. So even if their content is limited, there's always stuff to do. I like to replay the sagas. I'd prefer new content, but that takes a lot of time, and replaying is sometimes nicer than creating a whole new character. Trading system, which I mean, I know a lot of people would want that. Finish the story and new classes. So we've seen multiple people already saying they want new story and new classes. Those are definitely like the top first. The pirate and the ninja PvP area. I would like it to have actual PvP. It used to, and they should actually bring that back, because I mean, nobody's really in that map anyways, so why not make it an open PvP map? I stumbled upon you some days ago and got hit with Nostalgia City. I played AQ World so much when I was younger, and I can't wait for AQ World Infinity for mobile release. Overall, I'm fairly new to AQ3D. I just finished the Ashfall, which I might add is my favorite so far, with how long and a bit of difficulty spikes as I play healer. Nice. But what I'd like to see, I have to agree with on you. Better equipment and inventory management. Make it easier to equip sets and cosmetics. Other than that, I have no complaints and have been having a blast in AQ3D the last few days. That's awesome to hear. Calendar classes with huge damage numbers. That would be cool. Story progression. Here's another one. The next rune on the portal. I'd love to see RNG fixed so it's as it's so luck-based rather than grind-based. Interesting. My top one would be a pet class where the pet does not have a timer and a major part of your actual DPS rather than a pet that does nothing, just being cute and having 0 DPS, where the class is about complexity that isn't ninja and is flexible with the kind of pet currently in use. That would be interesting to have a pet class. I gotta agree, that would be really fun. Continue the previous stories like Vane and the werewolf or wolf wing. Also, we need more character levels. So here's another one with more story and more character levels. Want more new saga, level cap, equipment, and battle concert. That rounds it up. This is basically right here what 90% of people have been saying mostly. I would like for them to complete the main story. Here's another one, main story with Vane. I want a war with a giant dragon and some sick loot. And one more thing, if ever possible, another set of wings that can change color. Ooh, that would be interesting. I definitely agree with the loadout system for the game. Having pre-made sets and styles for your character just makes it so much easier. Another thing that would help is quest logs. That's true, the quest logs is kind of a mess, so having it categorized per location or something would definitely help. As much as I'd love endgame content, there's really nothing to go off of currently that could make it happen. Offering substance from nothing would be lackluster, but I'm sure many players disagree. Housing could be made a little better, I suppose. Offering NPCs, I believe I saw several people comment this, I felt is a good idea. It gives life to some very beautiful and massive areas, making them feel more alive. And I agree, that would definitely be nice. We need main story. Here's another one is main story. The grinding, new classes, cosmetic releases, holidays, the housing system, fashion system, live events, everything. None of that matters without a world for it to happen in. AQ3D has been here for nearly 10 years, and what does it have to show for it? What is the point of it all? Dragon Fable was well into its 3rd narrative book at its 10-year anniversary. During the 10th anniversary, we were all collaboratively warring, and not just because it was the anniversary. We were all fighting to save our dragon child and avenge a beloved NPC who had been killed. The whole community was abuzz because DF had spent 10 years building emotional stakes, and we cared. That was very long-winded, but AQ3D makes me sad because I know that AE can do better than this. They have before, and if they gave the players something to care about and stick around for, they could rival MMOs like ESO and RuneScape, maybe even WoW. Main story and increase level cap. Proper gold farming, being able to swap runes from one piece of gear to another. Ooh, interesting. Hand-to-hand combat, Street Fighter Monk class, endgame content with class talent tree to improve each different class. Raw versions of Frostvale, we finally got that. A eulogy? I don't know what that means. New concert. Continuation of the story. All I want about this game is story progression. So many people. Storyline or story mode. More storyline or mode. And finish the AQ3D story mode. That's all I need. Maybe stat training. More content. AQ3D needs a new game-changing mechanic that'll keep us playing for hours. Pets with abilities, leveling up, eventually pet battle, more emphasis on crafting with gems and added abilities, weapon dual wielding and dual equipment, separating headgear and armors, reducing trash in your storage. Furthering completing the main story mode. Here's another one with the main story mode. Adventures and quests. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 2 and the game looks infinite on adventures. How a live service game feels so limited. I'm going to give you 2. They're fairly straightforward quality of life things, but I find them equally important. The ability to change the color of the background of an item preview window. There's so many black items in the game that it would be nice to see them against other colors. A lot of details for black and other darker items are lost against the default black background. Really interesting. I never even considered that. Give us the option to make the bank like the inventory like your main inventory. The bank vaults are very limited and I always lose track of things. And there's no way to rename the vaults to give us an idea of what's in there. Make it so that monthly promo items don't take up inventory space. So actually they don't take up inventory space, but you also can't sell them. I wish there's more tier 2 classes and the Berserker class feels less powerful. Also, having job or profession skills like farming or breeding or animals, etc. Idle animations. Wow, there's a new one. New classes, more Nulgath gears. they're still stuck in phase 1. Loadouts, reason why I need to get 100 classes when the skin is for 50 only. Dungeons for gold farm because crafts take more gold than the quests. Number one thing I want to see? Well, I think we could use a couple of more new intros to the game. Personal idea, AQ3D is a fairly small game and not a whole big player list compared to others. I think the game should make a personal advertisement about the game to attract more players, which would mean more players play and buy in-game stuff like cosmetics, which will increase the company's budget on production to allow more game-related content if they're willing to hire more staff. I think the main thing is to complete the main story. I want a new freaking saga, more level cap, and more gear. How many times now have we seen that? Number 1 is finish off Vayne. Number 2, create a new arc after finished with Vayne. Long story short, this is short. What? Good lord, that's not short. Focus all development into the reboot. Vanilla AQ3D is a mess story-wise and has a huge world completely disconnected as individual theme parks. The Mossmere project is aimed to building a huge world connected from side to side. Focus on world building instead of fashion. Self-explanatory, the game is 99% cosmetics due to the horrible lack of story development. They would shift this into a 50-50 with sets based on the new areas we will have available that will connect the fashion with the game world, and thus it will enable a sort of marriage of two of the most necessary and best systems the game would have to offer. Everything else, trade, skills, PvP, inventory management, are irrelevant since those combined cannot keep the game alive nor retain a substantial player base. Interesting. Without a grounded story, there is no world. Without a world, there is no place to go. Without a route to follow or care about, there is no need for cosmetics. Only fashioned emptiness remains. The game has lost its creativity. I don't know what happened to Dej and Cicero and Warlick, but Clarion alone can't handle it, and we've realized this a long time. We need more people to help Clarion, especially in terms of creativity, to keep the game going back to what it was. Compare an old free set like Eclipse to the sets from 2022, you'll see the game has regressed. So first and foremost, we need more more devs to start solving the problem at its root. More troves, especially for seasonal items. We need more intro. New intro every week. Please tell me you're joking. One more thing, more devs. And that would definitely help. A full-length movie. Woo, that'd be interesting. They need to remove the scaling thing. New stories and the height drop rate. Oh, okay, so increase the drop rate. I'd like nicer PvP system, more competitive for competitive endgame players. Interesting. Free DC back is first thing we need. As someone who returned after dumping a ton of money years ago, they need to focus on making the game fun for new players right now. It's very all over the place. Hard to find which missions to do and etc. Love the game, but having a hard time playing starting fresh. The whole storyline changed. Like, where's the first areas? When I played, there were hours of content before even getting to main areas, but that's just my take. Love the game, just frustrated. So I agree. The direction is kind of hard. Now, they've recently tweaked with the new intro, and they did kind of offer a direction after the new intro as well. I mean, it's not great, but at least there is some form of direction. They really need to focus new players onto the adventure menu so that they can kind of follow through the old story, not to mention all the side content they would have access to. I've played the game more if it had these two things. A toucan travel forum, which they have several parrots, that's pretty close. Mini games, races like Frogzard or Pork races. I don't know what that is. Large labyrinths with hidden rewards. They do have a giant pyramid maze. New quest mechanics, I don't know either, but think about something easy and fun. Global chat, yes, definitely. Professions, jobs, and titles with real impact in the game. Interesting. Okay, several people have mentioned that. Literally more quests, and yeah, they definitely need more quests and support classes. My thoughts are that the game needs to be quicker in general. I know they want to sell travel farms and mounts, but each map is too big and it breaks the flow of gameplay. AQ World, Dragon Fable, and AQ Classic are all snappy, quick, and you get to the meat of the game real fast. 3D needs to emulate that. Set aside comparisons to other MMOs and try to copy their own games, except Epic Duel. That game is a mess. Smaller maps, more action, less health bloat from baddies. Okay, and health bloat. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is something that I've mentioned in the past multiple times, how the enemies have too much health. But anyways, faster gameplay cycle in general, and I would have to overall agree with that. With a small player base, they need to pay more attention to solo gameplay as well. Thank you. See, this is where I live, in the solo gameplay realm. And frigate, just do the stat thing for armor and weapons that AQ World did, where you buy upgrades in the menu instead of finding an NPC or crafting a specific thing. That's my opinion. Removes as many hindrances as possible from the game, and at least make people open the wiki, or don't make people open the wiki just so they can find a level appropriate weapon. Level cap increase, for the love of God. Tell them to do it. AQ3D doesn't need more classes, cosmetic items, travel forms, mounts. It needs endgame content, and I mean specifically new endgame gear. Real items that have value, unlike cosmetic garbage nobody really uses. Like a million different things. The more I reflect and catch myself up to speed, the more the disaster of the game looks. But if I had to choose one, a PvP system that's actually evergreen and perpetually relevant at endgame, specifically where it's providing power, currency, or cosmetics of whatever sort. They could raise the level cap to 1,000 for all the difference it could make when there's nothing meaningful to do when you reach that point. So what? Raids are unfeasible because they always die when new content comes out, and they don't have a mind of how to bring them back into relevancy. Even when it comes to the story, there's nothing to look forward to once it's done other than quitting to go play something else. Where you can trade between other players. Man, I've seen trading, everybody has been talking about that. I don't ever see trading ever coming to the game, unfortunately. Anything that costs DC, weapons, equipment, and sets must have stats as well as more actual drops with stats. A completed storyline, mobs with specific XP rewards, and remove some of the useless stuff that's just taking up space in the programming code and file size of the game. They won't actually add stats to DC items because they don't want to make it pay to win. I want the original feel, maybe a cosmetic set button 3 at least. Scaling turned off due to the saga being a thing. Puns, better puns. Vain. I want the original feel mostly. It's way off track. Quite frankly, it needs a complete reboot. The game has so many cracks everywhere and somehow still didn't break. Literally everything after Ashfall Saga has been a downgrade. A huge mistake was a stats revamp that completely destroyed variety in stats, so it indirectly unbalanced the classes and their individuality. It's only been recently that we slightly get this class individuality back by having more stat options. The peak of AQ3D were the times they literally had to create a raid party of multiple different classes to face a boss like Enraged Valak to get that sweet Ashfall gear. World chat, not something I need or desire for myself for any personal reason, but for the sake of growing the community at this point, because of the low population, new players starting out in dead areas, most endgame players never frequent. So if they post in chat when they need help, they're sadly met with silence. Having only area chat gives the impression the game is more dead and on its last legs, and therefore not worth the time, nor certainly any financial investment. Interesting. So the world chat could help overall with that, and I agree. I would love to see a global chat. What I personally want is them to increase the max vaults. This has been an issue for years for the hardcore collectors. The new account items have helped somewhat, but it makes an annoying mess of your inventory. I agree. And they're still releasing items that require vault space, so those with max vaults are lacking. I have to split a new setup into several vaults wherever I have a few slots, or delete or sacrifice items I don't want to. Yep, that really sucks. And they should definitely, I don't see why they can't create new vaults. I want the devs to stop spamming nonsense events that nobody cares about and start spamming story quests. Nulgath quest was great. Personally, what everyone else has been saying, more content, less cosmetics. I just want an apology and I'll come back, but it'll probably never happen. An apology for what? As for what I want to see, meaningful progression, not making everything an inconvenient 0.1% drop. Crafting shouldn't be RNG based. Rare stuff has its place and always will. You can have as many quality of life features, but if you don't have retention mechanics or attraction mechanics, there's not going to be any growth or player retention. Make better art. Create limited items that could tell a self-contained story and be more transparent with the assets you introduce into the game. Right now, I feel like most of the cosmetics look bad and the story behind them is basically non-existent. This game makes me sad. I, like many players, spent money on the game, and what do we get? Tons and tons of paid items that don't change the gameplay at all for new players or veterans. They just add more utility to the gold, to the battle. They should add more utility to the gold, to the battle gem, add trading and selling, N-scaled PvP, guild wars, more utility for factions, and more items that alter the stats. And please, more content for max level players. We do everything and get bored in Yogurs. New content. New or more panels for skills or cosmetics. Oh, interesting. More in the toolbar, you mean. More skills for each class. Interesting. Wardrobe, thousands of skins, and no wardrobe. So wardrobe essentially being what I'd mentioned, having a loadout. Stopped adopting thing from AQ World. Make a unique new content, features, and designs originally for AQ3D. Nobody gives a frig about old stuff. And a weekly calendar event, like a mini event, which has different rewards on its own, like Guild Wars or Guild Ranking or PvP Ranking or more mini games. Wow. Like Infection. Oh man, Infection was so great. One word, content. Definitely not a trade system. Don't feel like being harassed by news for gear on cosmetics items. Well, trade system, I mean, the chance of that ever happening, if that does happen, it won't be for years and years and years. But content, I mean, I think every single person has been saying more content. Complete the first story, then connect to the reboot, and more importantly, casino. I think the game could use AI to make updates more frequent. AI might actually help with making it more frequent, but as you can see with YouTube videos, AI is just going to end up being AI slop. Trading system, which is another one. So there we go. That takes care of the comments. Big thanks to all of you guys who shared your thoughts in regards to what this game really needs. And if you missed the opportunity, what do you feel the game really needs? You can let me know in the comments below. That is it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching and keep those swords swinging.